If you're a player, coach, or parent trying to learn more about football, the quarterback position, navigate recruiting, or determine the landscape of both college and high school football, we got the podcast for you. But before we get going, quick shout out to our sponsors over at Lowney Sports. I've known Tim personally, and he's been a longtime supporter of both youth and high school athletes. He's also an attorney of over 25 years and both an NFL and NIL agent. Many think NIL is expensive, unnecessary, or that it only matters once you have an offer. But there's a lot more to know before the scholarships and deals start coming. To contact him for a free NIL consultation, call 617-733-8313 or visit lowneysports.com.
M2QB Academy is also a Wilson brand affiliate. When you're buying Wilson merchandise, go to the website, click checkout, and plug in our promo code M2QB-456 and save some money with your purchase.
This episode is brought to you by Cantiani Insurance Agency, insurance professionals specializing in home, auto, flood, and investment properties. They are the most referred insurance agency in Massachusetts. If you want coverage you can trust, call 508-791-2088 or visit cantianiagency.com. We also welcome a new sponsor, Wizard Computer Services, providing outsourced IT and cybersecurity since 1997. Call 781-341-2222 or visit www.wizardcpu.com for more information. New England's cybersecurity experts. All right, special guests on today's podcast, University of Tulsa head coach Tre Lamb. Coach, how you doing?
I'm great, man. We're getting ready to start spring practice here in a couple of weeks, so getting the guys in shape and looking forward to it.
Absolutely, Coach. So talk about, obviously, the season ends and you're flipping the script right to the next season, right? So 2025 ends, you're right on to 2026. You made headlines this year, went viral with the Portal House and kind of your unique, innovative way to handle that portal window. Can you just talk about that, like the thought process going into it, and then ultimately how it benefited you guys, and just give us a little bit of insight on the Portal House?
Yeah, it was, I can't take a lot of the credit. It was mostly our recruiting staff and our GM and some of our outside the box thinkers on staff. And, one thing we talked about when I got here is we're going to try to be bold in everything we do and try to be a little different. Like the coaches that adapt the most and can be innovative in today's market are going to be the ones that have the most success. Like, we know we're not going to have as much money as Alabama or Oklahoma, but we can be different. And I think that was the message to the recruits, to our staff. Like, we're going to think outside the box, offensively, defensively, special teams, off-season plan, recruiting, like anything we can do to be bold and disrupt the flow of college football is kind of my job, right? I mean, Tulsa has not been great in the last 10 or 12 years in football. So they hired me to bring it back. And, even little things like the Portal House and the way we practice and things such as that can make a difference, especially for an 18, 19, 22-year-old making a decision on where they want to play their college football.
Yeah, so that portal window opens. A kid wants to visit Tulsa. What's he getting when he's getting there, going to the Portal House? Like, what's that experience? Dive into that a little.
Yeah, I mean, last year I've been a head coach since 2020, so like this is coming up on my 6th year as a head coach, and in this transfer portal era, every visit's been the same. Like, you fly a kid in. He meets with the staff. He meets with a professor. He sees the facility. He meets with the strength coach. You do his measurables. Then you take him to a steak dinner, and he flies out the next morning, like with one or two coaches.
Yeah.
And you just never really get to know the kid, and he doesn't really get to know you because you're interviewing him as much as he's interviewing you in that short amount of time. So, you don't have a 6-month relationship with the player. You don't. You got a 1-week relationship and a 1-day visit where you start recruiting the guy when he goes in, or he's going in, and you start talking to him or his agent or his family. We just thought like a cookout style hangout, kickback with the whole staff could be more impactful than just hanging out with one coach.
And then, like, further into the portal, like, in terms of roster management, how is that something that's, been a tool for you? Is that more of a supplement, or I guess in our sake, more in the quarterback realm? Like, are you looking to take a guy there with more experience or taking a shot at potential? Like, how do you use the portal in terms of the position and then just as a roster management tool as well?
Yeah, I think you got to take at least one high school kid every year at the position, sometimes two. Um, your ideal room, you want your starter, whoever, how many years he's got left, or potential starter with experience, whether he's been on your roster or you bring a kid out of the portal that has experience. I think you got to put a premium on wins. You got to put a premium on completion percentages. You got to watch the video, in-game situations, end-of-half situations. Those experiences in college football are irreplaceable for freshmen. Like that's a really hard thing to grasp for a new player. So you want to have at least 1 to 2 guys in your room with experience that could be your starter. I think that the thing that's kind of you're seeing the trend right now is getting a guy with some experience to be the backup, because you don't want to go in there with a freshman or a sophomore who's never taken a snap as your backup quarterback. So you want to have at least 2 guys on the roster, in my opinion, that have played in college football games. Now, that could be D3, that could be D2, FCS, Group of 5, or Power 4. But the experience piece is important. So if you got 2 guys that have experience and then 2 young guys, whether it be a true sophomore and a redshirt freshman, or a true freshman and a redshirt freshman, whatever it may be, like our room structured right now, we've got the guy that started a bunch of games for us last year. He's a true sophomore, so he's got experience. We brought in a 5th-year guy to compete with him, but also give us depth that's played at 4 different schools, but has started probably 19 or 20 games. And then we've got 2 guys that have never taken a snap. We got a redshirt freshman and a true freshman. So that's how our room's structured. I think you always want to have those 2 young guys that you're bringing along, but you need, in my opinion, 2 guys in the room that have played football. Our guy this year that started our first couple games, and he ended up getting hurt and getting beat out, but he's a great kid. Texas Tech signed him to be the backup because he's played. Like
Yeah.
you're building a $30 million roster, and you got one quarterback making $3 million, and then all of a sudden he gets hurt and you're screwed. You've screwed everything up. So that backup position, I think, is really key in today's market. You're seeing guys, sign nice contracts to go be a backup, just like the NFL. I mean, Matt Flynn and Chase Daniel made a career out of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Those are valuable positions in today's market.
Yeah, it is crazy. And you're seeing it, like you said, you're seeing kids transfer out of schools and go, whether it's FBS or even at the FCS level, going and making money to play or making money to be the backup. So there is value in that. Now, when you're recruiting quarterbacks, obviously you played quarterback at a high level, had a ton of success in college. Started out, when you were starting out coaching in college, I believe it was quarterbacks you were coaching, right? To start out. Yep. And then obviously you're still to this day calling the offense. What are you looking for when you're recruiting a quarterback? Like, what are some intangibles or just things that when you turn on the film, this is what I need to see in guys that are going to play for me?
Yeah, I think in today's college football, offensive line play is getting worse across the country. You look at D-line or kicking the offensive line's tails most Saturdays at every level. That's Alabama, Texas, Clemson, even more so at our level, because you're renting offensive linemen. You're getting offensive linemen for 1 year, and then they're making a lot of money if they have any size at all. So you're piecing together O-line every year. It's new. When I got here, there was 3 O-linemen in the entire room. We had to go sign like 8 transfers and 8 high school kids. You're rebuilding that group every year. So my point is, you better have somebody that can move. I won't take a statue. I would have maybe 6 or 8 years ago. But the way the game's played today and the way offenses are structured and offensive line play is, like, he's got to be able to have some athleticism. He doesn't have to be a burner. He's got to be able to get you out of stuff. It's 1st and 10, and I call a drop back pass or an RPO and something goes bad. I got to have a guy that can get me to 2nd and 6. I think that is critical. And if he can't move, we're probably not even going to evaluate him. And some guys are really athletic and they run a 5.2. That's okay. Some guys are stiff and run a 4.7. Like, you got to evaluate those things. Can they make people miss? Can they create when things go poorly? That's kind of number 1. Number 2 for me, experience and wins and like touchdown to interception ratio. We look at that for high school players and transfers. Like, does the guy get the ball in the paint? Like, that's the ultimate goal of playing quarterback. Good quarterbacks move the ball. Don't know what it is, but when they go in the game, the ball moves. and they don't turn it over. Now, I've taken guys on that have had losing records, and they've been good quarterbacks, but we do put a premium on wins, touchdown interception ratio, completion percentage. And then the last thing I think that you can't teach is accuracy. It may come out like Phillip Rivers, it may come out like Tom Brady, uh, but they better be accurate. Like, you can't teach that. I don't think it can be developed. They either got it or they don't. And if I was putting a premium on three things, that would be it. The ability to move, wins, touchdown, interceptions would all kind of fits in the experience category. And then accuracy. Can the guy hit a target, that he's trying to hit?
Yeah, and when you or someone on staff is evaluating someone maybe in person, obviously those things that you're looking for in terms of film and numbers, but in person, like, could be mental, physical, emotional. Like, what are you looking for in a guy who's taking the snap, as a leader, or is it something more physical? Like, man, I can see. I think Taylor mentioned it. Like, it's going to take me 2 or 3 throws to figure out if you can play at my level. What are you looking for in that in-person eval?
Yeah. First of all, demeanor. Like, how do they run a practice? How do they run a workout session? Are they trying to get up first in line? Are they encouraging their teammates? What's their body language? They miss a throw, or are they walking around and hands on hips, or is it more energy? Like, I want to be around this guy. What's his 20-foot circle look like? Like, is he making the people around him better? Because I think the head coach and the offensive coordinator, the defense coordinator, and the quarterback have to set the temperature for the entire organization. And if he's not a guy that you can rally around, it's probably not going to go great. How does it come out of his hand? I'm not a guy. Once they get to college, like, I can't change the release. Like, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Like, that's on you.
Yeah.
I'm going to play the guy that the ball jumps out and has accuracy and has great leadership skills. But, does the ball jump out of his hands? Can he move? How tight are his hips? Tight hip guys are typically not accurate and not very athletic. So I think it's really important that quarterbacks stretch a lot. Like, I really encourage our guys. Number one is injury prevention, but number two, like, if you can have some flexibility in your hips and your lower body, like, that is a huge tool when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks.
And then finding guys that are a fit for you. You mentioned being bold kind of in everything that you do once you got to Tulsa, and maybe been a philosophy, for you guys from the jump. But in terms of your offensive scheme, like, how much are you putting on the quarterback? How do you guys operate that system? I think I heard you mention, maybe carrying 40, 45 plays on a sheet at any given time. Like, talk us through your scheme, and then, what kind of workload the quarterback gets in terms of running that.
Yeah, I think it depends on who it is. Some guys, like, I had a guy at Gardner Webb that was super smart, like 5'10", but he could run the whole show. And we gave him a ton of freedom at the line of scrimmage. And, I've played with guys that are 6'4" and super athletic that, that wasn't their deal. And they needed to get in the right call. And I needed to fix that from an operational standpoint, whether it was check with me or huddle or tempo or whatever it was. We kind of built it around that player. And it also depends on what year they are. Like, a young player, you got to protect them. And if he's an older player, you got to let him go. Like, this year, we got a guy with some experience. He started, 9 games this year in this league. And that should be enough for him to be able to go out there and get in and out of runs and get in and out of passes and have some alerts and have some checks. But I've had years where I couldn't do any of that. And it's just a check with me type deal and look over at me, and I'll handle it. The headset communication certainly helped. But I've had offenses where we've run 15 plays of power read every game. I've had offenses where it was 60 RPOs. I've had offenses where, it's run the ball and play action pass. I think you gotta build it around the guy that's taking the snaps and play to his strengths.
You talked about the importance. I was listening to a podcast you did a couple years ago of having like philosophy and a scheme. Like, how has that developed for you over the years? You got your first head coaching job when you were 30 years old, obviously really young to be a Division I head coach, and then to get hired as an FBS coach at 35 at Tulsa. You're one of the youngest coaches in the FBS. Just in that, talk about whether it's those 5 years as being a head coach or even before that, or you growing up, obviously a rich family history of coaches that you grew up with in your family. Where did you develop your philosophy initially, and then how has it evolved over the years?
Yeah, it played first of all, I played in high school. I played in a wing T offense, and also my senior year we went to true air raid. Mike Leach, 100%, like calling it 91, 92, 93, 94, 61, 62, 63. Like we went true full air raid. So I ran both systems in high school. In college, we were more of a spread option, RPO. I mean, I'm 5'8", 5'9", so like there had to be some empty in there and some pocket movement. But I learned a lot of ball from my head coach in college, Watson Brown, who's Mac Brown's older brother. And Watson was the head coach at Cincinnati, UAB, Vanderbilt. Played quarterback, finished second in the Heisman. Was the offense coordinator at Auburn, Mississippi State, Oklahoma. Like he had a rich background of offense. And I learned a lot of ball from him. Like I've taken a lot of what I learned and how to teach it, kind of how he did. And I thought he was a really good teacher. And I thought the systems we ran were ahead of the curve in college football. I'm not scared to try new things. Like sometimes I'll come in on Sunday nights and I'll just watch 100 explosive plays from the previous day across college football, and I'll still 7 or 8 plays. Like, just put them in and maybe have a different presentation. But yeah, I think you got to be bold and try new stuff. Now we're always going to have the base plays that we run. We're going to run stretch and we're going to run it from the pistol. We're going to have the play action game off of it. We're going to have the RPO game off of it. But it's week to week, and in our conference, you see so many different looks. I mean, we see man, 4 down, 3 high safeties, bear. Like it's a very, very versatile, well-coached league. So like one week we may be all gap scheme just because there's so much junk up front and so much slant and angle that we want to gap it down. Then the next week it could be, hey, it's a 4 down week. We're going to run some insert plays, and then you got bear the next week and we're going to run some option stuff off of that. So it's week to week. I think you got to have your base plan and your base install that you carry, your fastballs and your curveballs and your things off of that. But it's gonna vary each week, and the quarterback's got to be able to handle all.
Are you still rolling into games with 45 plays, or has that evolved since your days at Gardner Webb?
It's probably a little more now, just with the defenses we're seeing. Like we've got to have a little more in the tank and a little more options of what we need to get to. I'm a big fan of pushing the ball down the field. I think you need to take some shots and put the pressure on the defense in that capacity. And I'm a big fan of finding free access. If you can push it deep and hit a few completions in a game, and then you take free access on the perimeter for a quarterback, I think it all starts there. And then you build the run game off that, and you build your play action passes off your runs, and that's kind of the plan. But I'd say it's probably closer to 50-55 now. But I think the best games I've ever called, we had 400 yards rushing in the playoffs against Eastern Kentucky, and scored 52 points. And I bet we called the same play 25 times in that game. Like it's just
Yeah.
sometimes your best game plans are very, very minimal. And I've gone in there with I found this out early. I coached a game from the box as a coordinator when I was like 28 years old, and had a Waffle House menu up there and thought I knew everything. And it's not about what I know. It's about what the quarterback can execute and what the players can execute.
Absolutely. Now, how do you handle tempo? Because again, going back to that Gardner Webb podcast that I listened to, it was a big part of your offense. And I thought it was really interesting how you talked about, like, depending on where the guys were going to finish on a play, that's the formation they were going to line up on the next play. And you'd have like a 3-play sequence ready for those situations. I just thought that was really innovative. Like, kind of the theme of a lot of your stuff that you're trying to do, I think, as a head coach is innovation. Is that still like your approach to tempo, or has that changed over the years? Because I thought that was an interesting nugget that you shared on that podcast.
Yeah, it's still very similar. I mean, we get to it in different ways, but like you can't go fast if you're running guys from side to side in multiple formations. Like if you want to go fast and that's what you want to do, and hey, we jump in and out of tempo. We've huddled a lot more last year. Number one, you protect your defense and shorten the game sometimes, but also
possession.
Yeah, but also I can communicate with the quarterback in the huddle now on the headset. So like we can break it under 15, speed break it, and still using the element of tempo without the defensive coordinator being able to talk to the linebacker or the safety. So I think the headsets changed that a little bit, but we're still always going to anticipate tempo. I can slow you down if I need to. The players are always going to think we're going fast the next play, but I can slow them down. I can't speed them up, and it's frustrating when you can't. you can't speed guys up, but you can always
Yeah.
slow them down
Yeah.
with check with me, with 2 plays, with huddle, with freeze, with emotion, with a shift, whatever you want to do to slow them down. But if we're going in that green and we're in a green sequence and it's a sequence series, like they know, hey, we're going, guys. Like we're anticipating tempo, speed trumps alignment. Let's get lined up and run the play.
You're coaching, 18 to, I mean, I guess nowadays you could have a 25 or 26-year-old there, but you're coaching these young guys, like in terms of that tempo, even with the skill positions, like you have the guy running across the field, you're on the left hash now, and they have to know exactly where to go because that's how you're going to call the play. What does that look like in practice? Like, does that take, you know, X amount of time during practice for them to figure it out, or is it kind of a quick adjustment at that point? And then building off of that, just kind of a second question is, what does the practice schedule kind of look like for you guys? I guess in season, like what's their schedule, and then what's on their plate in terms of film and study and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. One thing we do is a continuation tape. So, like when you go watch a practice as a coach or a player, when you're position meeting or unit meeting or coaching staff meeting, you're just watching plays, right? It's cut up. When the play starts, the play finishes, you watch the next one, then the next one. We do a continuation tape for our offensive players and our quarterbacks. And so when the ball's downed or tackled or the whistle blows, we let the tape keep running. So, like, what are you doing from an operational standpoint? Are you jogging back to the huddle? Are you getting lined up? Are you getting the ball to the umpire? Like, what are you doing not between the whistles of the play, but after the one play ends to the next play ends, that 10, 15, 20 seconds, what does that look like? Are we finishing plays? Are we jogging? Are we like that's one thing we've really implemented that helps us understand how we change tempos and why we change tempos. So um, I'm a big walkthrough guy. We do a ton of walkthroughs in the season, probably more than a lot of people. I don't practice very long. I mean, our practice is like an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. I don't tackle a lot in practice. I think fundamentals, walkthroughs, uh, the fundamentals of football that we got to teach every day, the continuation tape, all that stuff helps them understand why. You really want to tell the players why you're doing what you're doing. You don't just want to go out there and do it. We're not running plays to run plays. Like, why are we going fast here? Why are we in this formation? Why are we huddling here? Why are we checking out of this naked to get to this run? And so on and so forth.
In terms of film, like when you guys get in the room there, like you talked about continuation as a coach and watching those guys in between plays separately, but just getting like you get a new guy in, a recruit or a guy from the portal with experience, getting them on the board in the film room. What does that look like? What are some of the first things that you'll flip on for a guy just kind of beginning his first year at Tulsa?
Yeah, you want to start with the basics for sure. Alignment, where are my toes? Where's the back? I think it starts there. We do a ton of tracks and alignment. We call it TNA, which is running back, quarterback, tight end, run pods, pass pods. I do it almost daily in practice. Just I think it starts there. We're a big pistol team, big gun team. We'll get under center a little bit, not very often, but a little bit depending on who the quarterback is. I think it all starts there. Like um, we call it the pulpit. Like the place you stand on every play is the quarterback pulpit. Like what is your body language? What is your footwork in the pulpit? And it starts there. And then I think from there you got to understand defenses at a high level. Like why are they doing this? What is the gap integrity? How are they fitting the RPOs? What kind of coverages are they running behind their pressures? Like you'd be shocked how many quarterbacks come in and can't draw up and over G front. And I think you got to start teaching that stuff right when they get here, to give them a chance when you get the spring ball and you get the summer OTAs and you get to the fall camp. Like it all goes back to why. Why are we doing this? Why are we attacking them in this way?
So say I am a recruit looking to go to Tulsa and I come and I'm watching a practice. What am I going to see from an offensive standpoint? You said you don't practice for long. You get an hour, 45 minutes. What am I going to see during that practice?
Yeah, it's going to be very fast, very efficient. Like we're not going to be standing around a whole lot. Everybody's going to be doing something. Um, I like two spotting the walkthroughs and two spotting the 7-on-7. So everybody's getting work and everybody's getting reps. You're going to see some tempo periods. You're going to be some slow periods. You're going to see a lot of walk and talk. But everybody's going to be active doing something. We're not going to be out there for long, but we're going to get a lot of reps while we're out there. Big fan of team and group work. Like to get better at playing football, you need to play football. Like Indy's great. Like we can do Indy all year, but when we get chances to practice, we need to play ball. We need to put you in 2nd and 10. We need to put you in 3rd and 5. We need to put you in a drive and see if the ball moves. And just trying to simulate what happens on game day. I think sometimes we get caught up as coaches and drill tape and, hey, we need to do this drill to get better at this. Like, let's put them out there and let them play, and see who wins the job.
Now, another thing I heard you say in one of the, whether it's an article or an interview, is that you didn't script practice or for offensive play calls to practice how you're going to call it in the game. Do you still do that? Is that something that you've kind of changed over the years, or are you still in that philosophy?
We'll script the first 6 like installs, the first 6 days to make sure we're getting what we need called versus the right looks, and the defense coordinator can know, okay, it's 2x2, 3x1, empty. Like he needs to make sure he gets his checks in and his coverage is in and his front's in. But after like day 6, I don't think I've scripted again ever. Like
wow.
I'll tell the defensive coordinator and we'll get together like, all right, what do you want to see today? What's the emphasis? Is it a run day? Is it a 3x1 day? Is it an empty day? Like, what are we going to see? And then let's not screw each other and try to win the drill, but let's try to script it like we would, or try to call it like we call a game. Like, I need to call drives to get better at calling plays. Same thing with the defense coordinator. He needs to practice. He's not going to have a script that tells him it's going to be 3x1. He's going to have nothing. He's going to have personnel, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's so smart. To put you in that situation.
It's good practice. I mean,
Yeah.
I need to work on it. We all need to work on it. So, I mean,
you think that
one thing, our defense coordinator and I have been together for 5 or 6 years. So, like, sometimes we get tired of seeing each other, but that's okay. You know, like, we got to make sure we work together to give each other the right looks and make sure we get to work on both sides of the ball.
So you think that helps you prepare as a play caller on game day, getting those practice reps in?
Yeah, it helps your verbal communication because you're not reading a paper.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking at your call sheet. And sometimes I'll go out there. I don't even have a call sheet at practice. I know the plays I want to run out of 2x2 and 3x1 and empty, and we'll rip them.
Is that challenging with scout team? Like trying to get them lined up? And
I actually put some coaches on the scout team, and the play caller, myself and the OC, who's ever calling it that day, calls it against. I tell the defense, like the coaches, like, y'all go over there and try to screw me up. Like, you're the defense coordinator. You've seen what they do on tape. You've met with the scout team. You yell out what you need called, and I'm ripping it. So try to mess me up. Try to make it hard on me. You know, I'm playing against you in practice.
Yeah, I like that because you see some coaches script it where, like, all right, we're going to get this look when we line up in this formation, and this is most likely the coverage I'm going to get, and this is the play that's going to work against it, right? Where you're kind of doing the opposite, where you're saying, all right, let's challenge them, let's throw this at them and see how I react. I like that.
And the players have rules for a reason, right? I mean, every play should have built-in rules. Like, if we catch something versus a bad cover, I don't know what the defense coordinator is going to do. He's been sitting in his office for 7 days dialing up something to stop me. Like, what would you do to stop us? Not what you did last week to stop South Florida. They may not do that. They may not play a single snap of cover one, but they needed it versus them. So I don't know. I've gone into games where I thought it was going to be a 4-down cover one fest, and they jump into 3-high, zone and play 3-high safeties and 3-3 stack all day. Like, I don't know what they're going to do, but we have rules for a reason. So try to mess me up. Try to make it hard.
Yeah, I think like you said, if you have rules and a scheme and you're getting those practice reps in where you're used to seeing different things and a lot of variability, I think it plays into your favor. So what were you going to say, Al?
Obviously, been super successful for you guys. Just going back to your time at GW there, like back-to-back conference championships, playoff berth, I think first playoff win, Big South Coach of the Year. What were some of the things that made that team special in terms of just, all the success that they had, especially all those kind of first-time accomplishments?
Yeah, good quarterback, good running back, 2 good receivers. It was the most successful offense I'd had. We scored over 34 or 5 a game. Just had good players. Had an NFL wideout still playing today. Had another wideout transfer that was really good. Running back was a really good player. And then the quarterback had a ton of experience. So it's probably my most fun year I've ever had. It's funny, those years, they're not any different than the other ones. Like, it's the same stuff. It's the same scheduling. It's easy. It was just easier. Things just worked. Like, It was just the quarterback got you out of stuff. The kids made plays. Um, those years are fun. Those are the years that everybody talks about. But the hard years are when you don't have maybe some of those guys with experience, and you got to manufacture a way to score 24 points and win a game. Like those are the hard years, and but when you can't afford a turnover, you can't afford a penalty. Like we overcame so much that year because we had great players, and like I say, you're never going to be great up front. You're just not. And if you can survive and be physical and be smart and tough up front, and they know what they're doing, and be schematically sound, like you're going to have a chance if you get some good players around them.
Yeah, and then you jump to ETSU. You talk about like some of the tougher years, and I think they were 3-8 before you got there, and then you took them to 7-5. When you undertake something like that, like is that a culture change, a standard change, a scheme fit? What do you attribute that switch from 3-8 to 7-5?
Yeah, you look at the three head jobs I've taken over. Everybody has opposites, right? So the guy I took over for at Gardner Webb was in his late 60s. The guy I took over for at ETSU was in his late 50s, and the guy I took over for here, Kevin Wilson, was 60 something. So all these ADs, you get an old coach and it's not working. What are you going to hire next? A young guy, right?
Young guy.
You get a
yeah.
defensive guy and it's not working. You're going to hire an offensive guy. Like you always hire opposites. So it's kind of been unique. The programs I've taken over, it's kind of been probably a breath of fresh air for the players. I'm not friends with them. I'm not buddies with them, but I'd say the experience from day one was more enjoyable. And if they like what they're doing, they're having fun, they'll run through a wall for you.
Yeah, you talked about your year at Gardner Webb where it was just easy because you had the guys. With the way college football is today in the landscape, is that easier to not miss year to year because you're able to, flip your roster so much year to year and bring in guys from the portal? Do you feel like you're enjoying the way that college football is trending with all that stuff, or does it make it more challenging?
Yeah, I don't mind today's college football. I really don't. I think it can be frustrating for coaches that are kind of set in their ways. We've got to adapt. I mean, there's some things we all hate, but for me to get on anything and complain about it would be stupid because then our
Yeah.
players hear that.
Yeah.
If our players hear me complaining, they're going to think something's messed up. So I don't complain. We roll with the punches. We adapt. The rules are the rules. There are some things we don't like as coaches. There's something the players don't like, but we got to adapt. And if complaining is going to do nothing, but adjusting and adapting is going to be the way moving forward. I think there's still a lot of great product out there in college football. You look at the viewership across the country; it's up every year.
Yeah.
It's competitive games across the country. College football is not broken.
Yeah.
It needs some adjusting and it needs some guardrails, but that's not my place. That's going to be for the SEC and their commissioners, and the Big Ten, their commissioners, and the powers to be in the NCAA and the players union, if there ever becomes one. That's all their decisions. My decision is I'm going to wake up and be the head coach at Tulsa, and everything in my power to win the American Conference, and everything in my power to give us the best chance with our philosophy and our systems to be successful. And we've been given enough to be successful, and we're going to continue to get more.
Like we've asked a few guys about that, the new landscape, and some guys are like, it's not that big of an adjustment, but I think it's more so from an outsider's perspective where like too much change is a problem, but all you guys that are kind of natural problem solvers, like don't really take too mind to it.
I was going to say, how do you handle the problem of recruiting a kid plays really well for you and then he's going to get, move up and you're going to lose him after a year or two? Like how have you adjusted to that? And then on the other end, now you're seeing kids want to play and get production early on. So you might be getting a higher caliber of kid that you couldn't get, 5 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it used to bother me when a kid transfers. Now I pat him on the back and let him say, thank you. Let me know if anything I can do for you, because you really helped us this season, and thank you for your work. Like, pat you on the back and go get your bag. Some cases, a guy may want to stay another year just because he needs another year. And he knows he's got 2 left or 3 left. And but if it's a guy with 1 year left, look, I get it, man. You got to go do what you got to do to support your family. Sometimes we've had 2 first-round draft picks in the last 5 years here. I didn't coach them, but they came out of Tulsa. Sometimes it's better for a guy to stay and dominate where he's at, to have a better draft pick status. But, it's hard to turn down guys making the kind of money some of these guys are making now. So who am I to stand in the way of their dreams? I mean, I left East Tennessee State and took the Tulsa job, and it was a better opportunity. More money, more financial support for my family, better conference, bigger league. Like, why would I get mad at my players for doing the same thing? So yeah, it's the new way of college football. I think the most important thing we have to realize as a conference and as a group of five in general is we're not a JV league. We're not a developmental league. It drives me nuts when coaches say that. Like the SEC and the Big Ten, they need us. They need us. They need our talent. They need our coaching talent and our playing talent. You look at half the players that are playing in the playoffs came from our league, and the coaches came from our league or our level. Kirk Cignetti was coaching at JMU 2 years ago with 14 players from that team just won a national championship. They need our talent. So our commissioners, our ADs, our presidents, they know we got to continue to pour into our resources to make sure we can still get the talent that we need to put a good product out there and be successful, because it's a talent-driven business, right? I mean, if you're not talented, it's not going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, like, what is your recruiting pitch or elevator pitch to guys maybe looking into Tulsa?
Yeah, it's a case-by-case basis. We are a small private school, so like academics does play a piece here. That's a conversation you have to have. You can't have guys that don't want to go to class and don't want to pass school. You got to go to class in person every day. Everybody's going to know you're a football player. We only have 2,500 undergrad students, and one of the smallest, maybe the smallest private school in FBS football. I think Wake Forest may be smaller, but it's close. So there's an element to that you got to recruit a certain type of athlete that can function in that environment. That's a big piece of it. So you're selling the academics, you're selling the smallness of it, the quaintness of it. It's a unified kind of top-down approach where everybody's aligned and they love football here. The second thing you're pitching to the guy is the conference. I think the American Conference is by far the best group of five conference in all of football. I really don't think it's close. And then a financial piece, and we're very competitive in our conference this year moving forward. We got a lot more than we've had, and that's a credit to people around here that believe football needs to be good. Playing time's always a big topic of discussion, especially for a young player. Like you're saying, you're recruiting a freshman. Hey man, come here for 2 years, ball out, go to the NFL or go to Texas A&M. That's part of the conversation for sure.
And what can we expect from like this year's Tulsa's team, just in terms of your outlook on the season and for a fan watching? What are they going to see?
Well, year one, you're trying to set everything how you want set, right? From a routine, from a weight room to nutrition to gear to schedule, administration. Like year one, you're kind of dipping your toe in the water, right? And that's kind of how it was the last 12 months. And now we've got to go all in on what we know. And, I think we got a lot more winning experience on this team coming up. Like last year, I ran the numbers at the end of the season. Out of 105 players, we had 12 players on the team with a winning record in college football. So our locker room was not very experienced and not very experienced in winning. So one of the things we put a premium on with these transfers we took was we need guys that have won games and played in those games. I think in our locker room now, you're probably looking at more like 30, 35 guys that have played in college football, have a winning record, and have experience. So I want a more experienced roster than we had last year. Not just experience, but winning experience. I think that's going to play a big difference.
So shifting gears a little bit, when you're looking at recruits or recruiting or even talking to parents, because we have a lot of parents and high school kids that listen to this, what would your advice be to high school kids looking to get recruited, or maybe some mistakes that you see even that they could stay away from?
Yeah, I'm an old school guy. My dad's a retired high school head coach, and I'm going to rely heavily on the high school coach. I'm going to watch your game tape. I'm probably going to go see you in person if we're serious about you. And your body language is very important when we come see you at any position. But I'm going to talk to the head coach, the high school head coach, and get a real rundown on you as a player. I don't think you need an agent in high school unless you're one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country or top 100 players. I think that's very overrated. I don't like guys that transfer 3 or 4 times in high school. I like guys that play multiple sports. I'm a big fan of watching guys play shortstop, point guard, track. Like those guys typically translate to good athletes. and then guys from winning programs, guys that come from places that run it like a college. And there's a lot of those across the country. There's a lot of those in the city of Tulsa. And like that's the kind of stuff we're looking at when we're evaluating players. Like it's not just watching you throw the ball or watching you work out with your trainers, and all that's important. It means you care and you want to be good, and that's part of it. And you do need to do those things. But how do you play on Friday nights? That's what. How do you play football? Do you perform on Friday nights? Whatever it took to get you to Friday night, you only get 10 guaranteed Friday nighs. What do they look like? How are you playing on Fridays?
How should a kid be using social media? Like, are there mistakes you see? Are there the proper ways to do it? Obviously, there's a lot out there. So
Yeah, I think you can overdo it. I think less is more. Um, not a fan of guys that post, their top 10, top 5, top 3. Like,
yeah,
sometimes it's better to work in the dark. I mean, yeah, you get an offer,
love that.
post it for sure.
Yeah,
Um, you don't need to be DMing coaches, tell them you're interested in this, interested in this. Like, if you're out there and you're good enough, they're going to find you. Like we got a whole recruiting department scouring through every day. But some players can overdo it, like texting the head coach too much, or like, yeah, I'm going to text our top guys once a week and maybe give them a call once a month. But like, sometimes less is more. Like these coaches are busy, and your position coaches are busy. They're focused on their team. Um, but sometimes it can become annoying as a recruit if they're just constantly asking you and hitting you up for things every day. Like sometimes less is more. Yeah, check in with the coach. Hey, everything good? My offer's still good? Or how close are we to getting on a visit? Or when's the official visit going to be? Like those things are great, but don't bother him. Like I'll post a picture of my daughters on Instagram or Twitter, and I'll have 60 high school recruits comment on it. I'm not looking at that.
jeez,
Like that's just too
yeah, it's
much stuff.
crazy.
Like
Yeah,
you want look. Sometimes less is more.
yeah. I like the work in the dark too. We were preaching that with our kids of just develop, and work, and if you're good enough, they'll find you. Like you said, that you guys have big recruiting staffs and pay a lot of money and spend year round to find those guys. So
And it's
if you,
okay. It's okay to go play D3 ball or D2 ball. The place you start is 80% chance it's not going to be the place you finish, especially
yeah,
at quarterback. Especially at quarterback. I would say the quarterbacks that start at one school and finish at one school are less than 10%. I don't know the facts on that, but I guarantee you it's less than 10%. Like the place you start is not the place you're going to finish. Go somewhere where you can get reps and play and then see what happens from there. Like it's okay to go to D3. It's okay to go FCS. It's okay to go D2. It's okay to be a 4-star and go group of 5. That's okay. Like go dominate where you're at, get playing time, put plays on tape, and then see what happens from there.
and that's so good for our kids to hear because it's for a lot of them the mentality is D1 or bust. But
Yeah.
with the reality of the landscape now, like that's changing. Now with that, are you watching like Division 3 tape, Division 2 tape? Like that's got to be a lot when you're handling that small portal window. But are you guys diving into that?
But yeah, I mean, we've taken
Yeah.
guys from Maryland and Baylor, North Central in Illinois or
Yep.
Ohio.
Yep.
We've taken guys from Texas A&M, LSU, Florida State. We're searching for everything. We're looking at every level, and the guy's got what we're looking for, and has plays and competitive, and has the fit that we need. Some years, like this year, we were taking 2 corners, but they had to be guys with multiple years left because we got 3
Yeah.
seniors.
Yeah.
So we may pass on a guy with 1 year at that position. This year at O-line, we got a lot of guys coming back. So we're looking for young tackles with traits. So if you're a 6'2" guy at tackle, we probably weren't even looking at you this year. Now, next year, it could be different. Like it's different every year for what the need of the team is, not only for this 2026 year, but moving forward, into the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
That's
so
awesome.
interesting. Yeah, and you're just trying to sort it out every year because obviously the rules and regulations are changing and things are constantly evolving. But it's interesting and it's fascinating to hear from you. One more for me, just like obviously you've had a ton of success. You're super young and continuing to grow in the industry and being an FBS coach at 35, like that's unbelievable. Who do you think shaped you as a coach? Like who are those mentors? And then why do you do it? I know it's a 2-part question, but the last one for me.
Yeah, my dad, my uncle, my granddad would certainly be the top 3. I've been around great coaches and been on great staffs, and my tree is growing that have worked for me, which is really cool to see. I mean, you see guys that coach for me coaching across the country in NFL, college. It's one thing when you become a head coach at a young age, I think I've hired really well and hired great coaches that have gone on to do great things. And that's going to continue to grow. And it'd be cool to look back one day when I'm 60 and I'm done with this stuff. And hey, this guy's coaching here. He's the head coach at Clemson. He's the offense coordinator for the Colts. Like that's going to be cool to see. Um, and that's one of the reasons I do it, develop our coaches and develop our players. What's my why? Obviously, my family, my daughters, my last name. I don't want to let people that got me here down. My dad, my granddad, my uncle, my mom, like everybody that's had an impact on me. Like I represent my family, and we've got a great history of coaching and doing it the right way, and not breaking the rules, winning games, growing young men. Like all that's great. And it's one of the reasons I do it. I mean, also they pay me well. I mean, it's a performance industry. I love what I do, but they pay me good money to do this. And the fact that I get to do this every day and make the money I make and develop young people, I couldn't imagine. I wake up, what else could I be doing that could be any better than this? It's a dream job. I get to talk football all day. I get to hang around a bunch of dudes being dudes every day. I get to impact young people, and they pay me well. And like what else would you want?
Living the dream.
No,
Yeah.
that's it. No, I just want to say thank you. I think that was awesome. I think Tulsa got a lot of New England fans in this hour-long podcast. So I certainly look forward to watching you, and I just want to say I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys having me on.